What's up everybody, welcome back to a brand new video on Lex Alexis. Today we've got more championship football to start predicting. We have got some midweek games and we've made it to match day 18, would you believe it? As always guys, you know the drill by now. If you want to get involved in the Lex Alexis Football Prediction League, make sure you enter your score predictions for the championship in the comments down below before all the games are kicked off so you guys can save your entries. As always guys, it'd be absolutely appreciated if you can smash the like button. It really does help the growth of this channel each time that you do that. Hitting that red subscribe button too also really helps the growth of this channel too. And sharing the channel too will just help my channel to get out there a little bit more. 50 likes as a target I think will be a terrific achievement. But without any further ado, let's start predicting for the midweek games. Let's start off with Cardiff going up against West Brom, and both are going into this game with a brilliant win on their hands in different circumstances really. Cardiff have got themselves a fantastic win last game out where they managed to beat Preston by 2-1 after being 1-0 down in stoppage time, a 95th and a 98th minute winner. Those sorts of scenes is something that is worthwhile for watching in football. What an unbelievable turnaround and great determination for Cardiff to complete that comeback that late on as well. They were aided with Preston going down to 10 men. I think it was Brady, correct me if I'm wrong, who got 2 yellow cards. So that definitely did help things, but Cardiff did really well to keep within the game throughout that moment. West Brom got an impressive win on their hands. Now, their win was a little bit more comfortable against Ipswich Town, but the impetus of this win is for the fact that Ipswich had stretched, I think, a 17-game unbeaten run going into this match. They were looking absolutely unstoppable. And it's the first game this season that Ipswich have not scored a goal. And you have to give credit where it's due to West Brom. They took the game to Ipswich and they could not handle it at all. And I do think West Brom, if they carry on with their form, they will be a difficult team to stop within the top 6. They've actually won 4 out of their last 5, and the loss that's actually in between those 5 games was their narrow 2-1 defeat to Southampton, where I would argue they were unlucky not to get a result in. Cardiff would definitely not make it easy. They're doing quite well with their form. They're just outside the top 6, and they would feel a huge boost beating Preston, who are currently still within the top 6, so they can definitely feel that they can mix it within the top 6 of the championship. But having said that, I think West Brom are looking a little bit more value for money at the moment, and as a prediction, I'm going to narrowly edge the Baggies for a 2-1 away win. I just have a little bit more faith in West Brom to get the job done. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Coventry versus Plymouth. Again, both teams going into this game with a fabulous win over the weekend, and Coventry especially would have had a huge sigh of relief managing to pick up a win for the first time within 2 weeks from the international break ending. Their form leading into that last international break was horrific. They went into that game against Millwall, I think, as the underdogs, because Millwall were going into that game full of confidence, and it seemed to me that Millwall actually did play better when they did fall behind in the early parts of it, but Coventry looked so clinical. And that is the one thing that I think Coventry have been let down for a lot of their games this season, is their lack of cutting edge. They showed it in that game, and I'm telling you, they can really blow teams away if they do take their chances as common as they did in that last game. Plymouth, they managed to beat Sunderland by 2-0, and it was a well worth win. I really do think so. Plymouth really made home park difficult for Sunderland to deal with. It's a 400-mile trip for Sunderland, so I wouldn't wish that on anyone, but it is definitely a sad trip back for them, because Plymouth were by and large, I feel, very comfortable in the end. Keeping a clean sheet as well, quite damning for Sunderland not to even make the game somewhat competitive, because Plymouth's defensive records have not been the strongest, but Plymouth have kept a clean sheet, and they'll be very pleased about how they performed and how organised they were. This game, I think, is going to be a very tough one to predict, because you question whether Coventry, with that win, would they start to kickstart their form and get some consistency down. Plymouth away from home have been a little bit more predictably poor. They're still looking for their first away win of the season. And honestly, even with Coventry having their issues, I think Coventry are more likely to get something here, and it's definitely encouraging to see that maybe their forward line have now gained some confidence after beating Millwall by the 3-0. As a prediction, I'm going to go 2-0 Coventry. I see this being not routine, but I do see Coventry being more likely to be the ones to take their chances. So I'm going 2-0 to Coventry. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Hull versus Rotherham. Both teams have picked up a draw over the weekend. Hull had to battle from 2-0 down to get something against Swansea City. So Liam Brassini will be very pleased about how his side battled and managed to get back into it. But they would be very disappointed how they started that game against Swansea. Rotherham managed to pick up a very brave point against third place Leeds United and actually did survive a couple of scares. You know, Leeds did have a goal disallowed near stoppage time in the end. So Rotherham would feel a little bit lucky, but they picked up the 1 point that they did. But every point matters at the moment. And considering you're seeing Huddersfield especially not picking up too many points at the moment, a point could really do the world of good when it comes to the relegation battle this year, because these tiny margins could really mean a lot. So going into this game, Hull at home have been relatively good. Rotherham away have not been particularly great, so if anything's going to go by, I'm going to back Hull. But a lot of the time of these games, they like to throw a spanner in the works, but I'm not brave enough for this one. I'm going to go for maybe a somewhat predictable 3-0 victory to Hull. I think with the Hull players that they've got, the options that they got going forward, I think it will overrun Rotherham quite a bit. And I just have not seen a performance that Rotherham is going to suggest that they can battle away from home so far. And still, they've not got a permanent manager as of recording as well, which also still surprises me. So I'm going to go 3-0 Hull. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Middlesbrough versus Preston. So both teams are going into this game with a defeat in the weekend, and probably more shocking. In fact, no, both of them would have had shocking defeats in their own way. Middlesbrough were definitely favourites against Bristol City, but Bristol City blew them away. It was quite a bonkers game because Bristol City were 2-0 up. Middlesbrough managed to equalise within 2 minutes, Matt Crooks pulling off an absolute blinder, but then Bristol City managed to edge it in the end. Some controversial decisions going around, especially with penalty decisions, but it was a really good game overall. And Bristol City, I felt, were actually well valued with their win, actually. I think they did perform quite well, whilst Middlesbrough hogged the ball a little bit. Bristol City looks very dangerous, and I think Middlesbrough got to try and be a little bit less naive when they hold on to the ball. Preston will like that though. Preston are definitely very good at breaking teams down when off the ball. Preston would definitely want a good response here. They're still within the top 6, but they would feel really gutted about how they lost out against Cardiff City in the end. 1-0 up for majority of that second half, and to concede 2 late goals in stoppage time is a killer. And honestly, I think with this game, I think it'll be pretty close, but I'm going to edge Middlesbrough being at home and with the players that the Carrick's got. I'm going to go 2-1 Middlesbrough, but honestly, a draw wouldn't surprise me here, but I'm going to edge Middlesbrough based on home advantage. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game to predict is QPR versus Stoke City. I can't lie, I look at this game and I don't feel there's going to be many goals. QPR under Cifuentes, they managed to get their first defeat with Cifuentes, which was against Norwich. It was a low scoring game, only 1-0 to Norwich in the end, but I'm really not seeing enough encouragement in my honest opinion. In fact, QPR are going to pick up too many points to get out of their current predicament. Stoke at the moment kind of stagnated their form a little bit. They were looking pretty alright, but they're now winless in their last 3 games. So Alex Neil definitely needs to try and pick this team up as soon as he can. They're going into this game also with a defeat, and it was a pretty embarrassing 3-0 defeat to Blackburn Rovers, where it was 1-0 Blackburn for the majority of the game, but in the final 10 minutes or so, they completely collapsed, and Stoke need to definitely work on that mentality issue there. I think going into this game, I think QPR having a load of confidence at home, I think Stoke may thrive for that. And honestly, as a prediction, I was going 0-0, but I might edge Stoke for a 1-0 away win. I think they could sneak something here, but I do sense that there's going to be a real lack of goals in this game. So I'm going to go 1-0 Stoke. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Watford versus Norwich. Now, this I think is going to be intriguing. So Watford are going into this game, of course, losing against Leicester City in the end. Daniel Backman managed to get red carded because of 2 yellow cards, so it's likely he won't be available for this game, which may not be the end of the world because Watford at home have been alright quite recently. Their form has not been too bad. They've actually been unbeaten in the last 5 until they played Leicester. Norwich, defensively, they'll be pleased that they kept a clean sheet against QPR, but I'm still not 100% convinced on them just of yet. They're managing just about to get points. And I think against this Watford side, it's going to be very difficult for them to do that. I think Watford have got a really good amount of threat, especially in around their midfield area. Norwich's biggest threat is undoubtedly their transitions and how quickly they can go from one end of the pitch to the next. So I think it'll be a bit of a back and forth game. But as a prediction, I can't edge either one of them. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw here. I think both teams will cancel each other out. I don't really favour each one of them to get a result. And I will therefore go for a draw. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. The next game to predict is Blackburn versus Birmingham. Now, both of these teams are going into this game with a win in the weekend as well. Blackburn with an emphatic 3-0 win over Stoke City. Sammy Smodics again proving how important of a player he is. And I think he's the top goal scorer of this season so far as well, which is making me very pleased for him too. Birmingham are going to this game finally with their first win under Wayne Rooney. It's taken 5 attempts, but they finally got it. And it was against Sheffield Wednesday where it definitely wasn't comfortable for them, especially when they went 1-0 down. But fair play to them, managing to get that equaliser just before half-time was really, really important, because if Sheffield Wednesday stayed in the lead for quite a long period of the game, I think Birmingham would have grown frustrated and less likely to get something out of it. I do think this is going to be a tough game though, because Blackburn have shown that going forward they look really, really effective. And I think again we're going to see a Blackburn side overload Birmingham with chances, and if they could take even a couple of them, they could really end the game within 20 minutes. That is how efficient they can be going forward. And as a prediction, therefore, I'm going to go for a 3-1 victory to Blackburn. I do still have my doubts of Wayne Rooney's defensive line for Birmingham, and I do think it will cost him in this one, so I'm going to go 3-1 Blackburn. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Leeds versus Swansea. So both Leeds and Swansea managed to draw last weekend. Leeds taking the lead but then being pegged back just before half time, and Swansea also taking the lead but a 2-goal lead and then throwing it away as well. So both these teams would be wanting to try and improve their current state of affairs when they're in winning positions, but since both of them dropped 2 points for winning positions last weekend, so I do sense that both these teams would be a little bit cautious going into this game, but I will say I think it's more likely that Leeds will try and work the front four, try and overload that back line for Swansea, and I think they'll get some decent success at it, but it's going to be hard to say about how many goals there will be in this game. So as a prediction, I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory to Leeds. I personally don't see too many goals in this one, and I think it'll be tight for the majority of the game. I think Swansea will make things very, very difficult for Leeds, but I feel with the options Leeds have and the amount of individual quality they do have for across the pitch, I think they will be more likely to pull something out of the bag. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Now we have a bottom versus a top of the table clash with Sheffield Wednesday going up against Leicester. Why does it feel like a Sheffield Wednesday 1-0 win is coming? It would be so typical for Championship if it does end up that way. I mean, what a game this should be. Sheffield Wednesday going to this game really struggling. Still only 1 win in their last 5 games and only 6 points in the table. But Leicester, on the other hand, they have managed to respond pretty well. You know, obviously they had back-to-back defeats going into the international break, but they're now on 42 points. I mean, that is crazy. Leicester has 7 times more points than what Sheffield Wednesday have. I mean, that is insane. It is absolutely insane. And you'd think with that Leicester should be overwhelming favourites, but I think Sheffield Wednesday will really try and frustrate Leicester. As a prediction, I don't see many goals. And I'm going to go for a narrow 1-0 win to Leicester. I think they'll eventually get it, but I do think Leicester are going to really find this frustrating against Sheffield Wednesday. So I'm going to go 1-0 to the Foxes, but definitely not a convincing win. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Southampton versus Bristol City. Now, I've been moderately impressed in different areas, but I've been definitely more or less impressed recently with Bristol City. They've picked up some brilliant results since Liam Manning has come in, and I was very impressed with their 3-2 win over Middlesbrough. So I do think Bristol City are competing thereabouts. You know, they've won 2 of their last 3, unbeaten in the last 3, and are currently sitting 11th place in the table right now, and they could really start climbing up that table if they carry that consistency on. So Southampton, they did have a winning streak, but they did manage to get that streak to end by drawing 1-1 in the end to Huddersfield Town. Definitely a game that they would feel quite frustrated they didn't kill off, but Huddersfield stayed within the game and managed to get something out of it, a bit similar to Rotherham with them staying in the game as well and nicking something. So both of these sides are going to be very desperate for points in the lower part of the table, but it's down to the topper teams in the table. If they want to secure top 6 or even compete for promotion, they need to find ways to manage to get enough of a gap to maintain the threat and desperation of their opposing team. As a prediction here, I think this is going to be very interesting. But I have a feeling if Southampton score early, I think they'll definitely get something. And I have a feeling we'll get an early Adam Armstrong goal or something. And I think Southampton will feel quite comfortable. And therefore, I'm going to go for a 2-0 victory to Southampton. It really could go either way, to be quite honest. Because I think if Bristol City score, I think they'll be more likely to get something. But for me, based on the home advantage and the options in the team, I'm going to go for Southampton to be the more likely team to get something. But it doesn't mean that they will get something. So that is the joy of doing these predictions. You know, I'll say what I think, and whether it happens, I mean, based on my track record, it doesn't happen a lot of the time at the moment. So if I'm predicting 2-0 Southampton, Bristol City fans may spare a thought of excitement. So I'm going to go for a home win for the Saints. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Sunderland versus Huddersfield. Both teams will want to respond after their result last weekend. Sunderland lost out pretty embarrassingly in the end against Plymouth Argyle. Really didn't show enough in my personal opinion, considering how far the fans had to travel to really represent their side. And I would have expected a lot more from that Sunderland side, considering where they were within the table. But Sunderland's form has been a little bit up and down. They've not been too consistent with their form at the moment. They have been quite consistent in getting home results though, which I think is a great improvement over last season. Huddersfield are in utter desperation right now. They've not got a win in their last 10, I believe. They're really struggling. They've got to win this run alongside with QPR and Rotherham as well. So all 3 of these sides are really struggling to pick up points right now, and any point matters, which is what I was saying about Rotherham. But them getting that point against Southampton could prove to be crucial come the end of the season. However, in this game, I'd see Sunderland being the overwhelming favourites. I think they're better at home this year than they have done last year. I think they've got the options to really hurt Huddersfield, and I do think if they don't defend and lose concentration early on, I do think Sunderland will win this quite comfortably. As a prediction, I'm going to go for a 3-1 victory to Sunderland. I think they will have enough to overcome Huddersfield and Darren Moore. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. The final game to predict is Ipswich versus Millwall. Now, the first defeat for Ipswich in over 15 games had to come eventually, but they definitely would not have liked the manner of it. They were completely outclassed and outplayed by West Brom. So this game for me, I think is just as important as all their other games to see if Ipswich can respond to that or they're going to start collapsing, because after Millwall, it doesn't get any easier. They've got Coventry, they've got Leeds, they have got Norwich, and they've got Leicester coming up. They've really not got it easy at all in December leading to January. So every point matters for them right now if they want to carry on with this position that they're in, which is within the top 2. And I think some argue it's a false position, and it's a conflict really, because you've got some fans notably frustrated and actually really toxic with the manner how Ipswich lost it. But I think for the realistic fans, I think they're sort of thinking right now, we can take this defeat. Honestly, with the options that they got, he definitely could get something there. And I think Omari Hutchinson should be available this time. He actually didn't play against West Brom due to an illness. So you'd think that he could recover in time in this game, but he may not be match fit though. Millwall are going into this game needing a response. They were completely battered score line wise against Coventry there. Their performance I thought was pretty good, but I do sense that they were quite sloppy in the final third. And right now, if they're going to be quite sloppy in the final third against Ipswich, Ipswich will punish them, because Ipswich have proven that they can score in most of their games. Not their last game, but they've managed to score in all of their other games, and all of their games at Portman Road this year as well. So as a prediction, I'm going to go for an entertaining 2-2 draw. I have the strangest feeling that Ipswich are going to start crumbling under the pressure. That's probably been quite pessimistic for me to say, but I do think Ipswich at this moment of time, whilst I give them high praise, they've definitely not been playing all that well at the moment. Definitely not at their best. And Millwall, I think, could definitely sneak in a shock result. And Millwall tend to do quite well against Ipswich for what I remember in recent history. So I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. So guys, those are all my predictions done for week 18 within the championship. Once again, make sure you comment your predictions in the comments down below so you guys can have a chance to enter the Let's Leicester Football Prediction League. So that will wrap it up for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you as always for watching. Please smash the like button, it really does help. 50 likes again would be the target. Thank you so much for the terrific support. Please hit the subscribe button if you've not done so. It also really helps to grow this channel too. And please share the channel too. All these things really do help. It's massively appreciated, and I always enjoy what I do because of you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are legendary if it's only in this video. And as always, I'll see you guys soon. Take care, everyone.